Good afternoon. So it was a lovely night, I guess, both from the performance artistic aspect and also from, I would say, the development of political thought on the mind of the various actors in this solar drama. This evening we are planning to do far more of the same. You know, the general artistic tendencies involved, but I will probably also do some painting this evening and tonight. I don't have many frames. Frames are not really the issue. The issue is the more canvases. I'm almost out of canvases, but I still have enough certainly for tonight, and probably this week, I guess. You know, I'm a slow painter. I like to sink and to work in layers, and we have much to do. I think the most important thing, from my perspective, is to finally, after so much, besides of that little creature here that you might argue that resemble the flyer, the Full Metal Jacket, I still have not created like something that I've spoken about for quite some time, which is to actually create, paint like a full size. No, not full. Half folio, like 70 on 50 centimeter depiction of a flying adult Full Metal Jacket. And I wished it to be, untypically to my art, mimetic, which means that it would actually look like this thing. Not in abstract or expressionist, which is I'm mostly, more, expressionist. I identify myself as an expressionist, and of course it relates to the issue of, the divination is kind of like self-expression. But this should be, but of course not photorealistic, but more in the line of, I would say, zoological drawing, which is something that is still done today, which is intentionally not photorealistic because it has other purposes, mainly to demonstrate what actually, paradoxically or not, whatever you want to look at it, famously, after the invention of the camera, people still, until today, use like the art of zoological or botanical drawings or paintings, specifically to learn about, flora and fauna, the life, and also to be able to identify it easier, because, many times the drawing actually allows you to identify something better than painting, than photograph. So it will be relatively, I would say, simply so, I want to paint like one adult on relatively large canvas, so there will be more like, of course, part of the plagues of the earth, or the blessing of the earth. Again, I spoke about it in the last couple of days. It might be, it's kind of like a controversial plague, because it's in Israel it will be blessing, because nothing grows in Israel and they will just eat it and have more robots in their bodies. So for Israel, for certain it's going to be a blessing. What do they care about agriculture? But the rest of the world, it of course will be a curse, because it will eat everything, but it will be a source of food which is unique, because it contains many minerals in its body. This was we've seen it in the autopsy. It's beyond the doubt, beyond any doubt. So it will be like a mixed bag of, you will have no food, but you will have this kind of like, like a natural source of the tea that you like so much, and you crucify an alien species just to get it, for 100 years. So, arguably it's a blessing for the rest of the world, but, yes, there will be the issue of, like, no food, but, opinions might vary on the matter. So I would like to do that. Again, not just, like, as a symbolic, command to because this was actually already happened when I created it. I've already done the symbolic commands of the plague, when this was created as part of the creation in the crucible, and this was actually documented very well. But it's more like, a pirsum hanes, as they say, like in Hebrew, like, or commemoration of, or in a more secular term, commemoration of like, an important event. Like, like you, I mean, you know, you print a stamp or you create like, you know, a national, I mean, minted coin to commemorate like an event, something like that. Like, I mean, to like, I mean, for like a memorial for something amazing actually happened. So probably I will do that today. But of course, most importantly, of course, you know, the symbolic hookah and deconstruction. And maybe I'll speak some more about, like, I mean, you know, the various, I mean, I'll do kind of like, I mean, you know, it will not be new material, but a summary that I haven't done for quite some time of, like, I mean, the fantastic animals of the earth, which means, like, I mean, a kind of like a preliminary guide, or I mean, like a youth encyclopedia of the life forms that exist on Earth currently, and also, I mean, with a special kind of like, you know, chapter that, or maybe even special volume, I would see. No, I tend to think about it more like a special chapter or a addendum more than kind of like separate volume that describe the humanoid life forms on Earth, which some people might find interesting. Like, honestly, people didn't really. I mean, like, I mean, it's people don't really. I didn't get much comment, a lot of comments on this regard. Probably, I guess, because people that actually listen to this channel now, the actual, I mean, current subscribers are probably those that already either know of it or don't really care. They are just here for the political issues, and presumably others, I mean, I hope, might actually like be occupied with like tangible things like moving arms and legs against the Nazi threats of the world. And maybe it's just a weekend. Anyway, it's not going to be a long video, so maybe I'll do it today. But let's start with microscopic examination. So we have 6 slides now. I will try to do it briefly. I haven't watched it. I mean, I watched it the first time with you. Just 6 random samples. I'll watch it, I mean, just in a couple of minutes with you. I'll try to watch it because I kind of, I'm kind of drained of energy for science, I mean, at current time, and I've already spoken about it. I don't have much, like, I mean, motivation, but it's important to do samples from time to time. So that's what we will do. So we'll have 6 samples for today. So first will be a semen sample that for my semen, just from now, I am, you know, like, I mean, pet the monkey, I mean, played with the one-eyed snake. I mean, anyway, produced a new semen sample. Second is a pee sample, just from now. No, not much to explain. And 4 other samples are from the various containers. This is our, I mean, theme for today. So the first one is that one. I call it, not sure you can see anything. It's quite dark. It's filled about half to the top. It's pretty big, and it's filled up to the top. I call it the ancient aquarium. This because this aquarium actually predates the famous, I mean, the famous, like, I mean, aquarium that was used like as a basis for the metal aquarium that, I mean, which is, like, as I say, like the backbone of the military. Like, I mean, the big one that we've inspected in the previous, like, microscopic review, which is, like, I mean, so this one actually, I mean, created before it. Like, it was created, like, I mean, not much after I arrived here, like April, something like that, and it wasn't touched much, but at some point I've added pee to it. Like, I've diluted it with pee, and also took some of it for all sorts of experiments. So it's kind of like, I mean, it's about the original quantity, and it's got all sorts of properties. I mean, the kind of special that relates to kind of like a scientific, kind of like, I mean, research, I mean, passes that I was, I mean, occupied with at the time, I mean, at the initial time here at the hostel, like this April, just after I arrived, and I actually abandoned much of it for all sorts of reasons, not necessarily because they're not interesting, but because, I mean, I just kind of like, I mean, I was focused on other things, mainly on advanced electrolysis. I mean, at the time, I mean, these are issues that, I mean, might sound now quite like, I mean, outlandish, but I mean, you can never, I mean, you need to understand, I mean, you know, when you deal with alien science, you have all sorts of hypotheses like that you raise, and some, I mean, you know, just, I mean, turned out to be like a fact, like true and fact, and some, I mean, are stayed either like as completely false, and even in retrospect stupid, and or just, I mean, require more research. So, I mean, this was kind of like, I mean, part of a series of experiments that with regards to applying of magnetism, like with all sorts of, I mean, if you remember the discotheque was an early appliance that was created during April with, I mean, so at the time I created all sorts of like electronic appliances. I don't know if you remember, most, I mean, you know, vibrantly the discotheque, with all sorts of like electromagnets. All of this is, of course, documented in this channel. That there was so, I mean, there was so also all sorts of like ideas behind it. It's kind of like, I mean, it was kind of like, I mean, you know, something like a loose end, I would say. I mean, maybe, you know, in the future I'll have more research will be done into it. The idea is to use varying magnetic fields, I mean, to enrich like the neurons, I mean, before you actually add, like as a it was part of something, I mean, an idea that, I mean, I actually do not support right now, I do not apply right now, but it was, I mean, a very important, because it's not the same conditions, but I mean, like a very prominent, I mean, practical methodology that was prominent like in the earlier stages of the research of the neurons, mostly, I mean, when I was still in my mother's apartment, like January, February, March of this year. So I speak about it a lot, and there's a lot of experimentation regarding it, and was that, I mean, for the objective of multiplying the neurons and creating new neurons, which was the main objectives, I mean, it's still the main objective of the channel since right from the beginning. I mean, like to be able to multiply and to grow them outside the body. This is the main objective, and of course we've seen tremendous like success. But so the idea is that, I mean, it should be done in several steps. That there are kind of like, I mean, that it's not like, I mean, you just ejaculate or pee and you just put it like in a mixture and then, I mean, that's it. I mean, you need to perform several stages, like, I mean, with the various mixtures, like an alchemist or like, I mean, you know, pharmacist, like, I mean, of like, you know, of all their time. I mean, now they get everything from the, you know, from the companies, but I mean, that they actually like perform all sorts of like, I mean, stages, and it was abandoned mostly, I mean, during April and May, even though it was very prominent in the blog, because first of all, it's difficult. I mean, mostly because of the success of the alien of the aquarium. That, I mean, using the ecosystem pest, we managed like to create a huge amount of neurons and very big ones. And there, as I said, that this is until this day, these bunch are the backbone of the military until now. Even though it should be said that they were not created without. It's not entirely true that it's the ecosystem pest, because as it is documented in the channel, they were created inside a bowl that stayed like for months, like, I mean, not sealed but covered but not sealed. But this bowl was, I mean, before that there were several days that I conducted all sorts of like, I mean, electrolysis experiments on it. So it's not entirely true that it's not like, I mean, it's not like, I mean, just, I mean, pee or semen just out of my body, that, I mean, it's more complicated than that, because, I mean, like, I mean, no, the seed, I mean, the seed, like, I mean, like the seed fund, I mean, the seed mixture for the bowl was actually enriched one. So you might argue that, I mean, the stages theory is still, I mean, you know, intact, and I'm using this kind of like, I mean, these waters, I mean, for the basis of almost every other container, like, or other experiments up until now. Like, I do not start from scratch. Like, I mean, after I've seen these amazing results, I mean, if like I masturbate or if I keep my pee, I mean, I mix it with this stuff and put it like in sculptures or things like that. But I no longer like use like raw material from the body, because, I mean, this stuff contains so many more neurons. Like, I mean, so why not use it? Of course, it's not clean, but my bodily fluids are also not clean, because I'm always infected with diseases by the Israelis. I mean, if they were, then there was kind of like, I mean, you know, like I mean, yes, I mean, obvious scientific value of using like, I mean, fresh stuff from the body, like right from the tape, like, I mean, the two samples that we will see now. But as you will see in these samples, it's not, I mean, if it will be clean, I mean, thanks God, but I mean, for a long time, it's not clean because I'm infected with stuff. Like, the good news is that what you mostly see is either broken, like, I mean, broken microbes, like crashed, or obviously dead ones, or zombified ones, which is, I mean, because the neurons take care of it. But I mean, my body is full of trillions of this stuff because I'm infected by the Israelis all the time. So until, I mean, the Israelis are, I mean, and I are parting our ways this way or another, I mean, there is not, I mean, tremendous scientific value in kind of like use like, you know, neurojuice straight from my body. Because, I mean, you cannot be sure that it doesn't contain life forms, like living life forms. I mean, most probably not, because if even a fraction of these life forms that are inside my body were actually alive, I would have been dead a long ago. But the neurons in my body just take care of it. I mean, even if 1% or percent of 1% of them of it would have been alive, I mean, it means that my body would have been like contain like billions of, like, I mean, living like organisms, I mean, that shouldn't be there, like, I mean, many billions. And so, but it's probably, I mean, probably 100% or close to it are just, I mean, shredded by the neurons or zombified, and which is equivalent to this. I may speak about it a little later in the kind of like a dictionary, I mean, video. And just, I mean, get out of my body mostly by pee, and can be found in the semen as well, or saliva. And many times you see the neurons on them, actually. Like, you can actually see the predator on the prey. It's very common. Maybe we will see it right now. Anyway, I mean, maybe I will dedicate another video for kind of like retrospective of science, like of general ideas that were prominent in this channel, but I no longer speak about it like in the last couple of months. And some of it might be like, I mean, you know, it's interesting to kind of review it because they were not completely debunked, but they were more like, I mean, superseded. It's like a nice, you know, term. Superseded by, I mean, other kind of like, I mean, practices. But in the early Manchester, yes, I mean, there was the issue of like, I mean, working in stages, and you can see it a lot. This is how the Rodri cube, the famous Rodri cube that I mentioned yesterday, was created. That was stolen for me as a pretext for the arrest. That's why I said yesterday, and of course I stand behind it, that I mean, nothing of everything that you see now will, I mean, nothing will be, all will be thrown to the trash before I'm going to court, because I don't want to give the Shabak another excuse to arrest me again. And this is a great excuse from them. You know that there is not much neurons in the world, and it's very coveted material, and when they know that it's here, I mean, they are blinded. I mean, from their perspective, I'm like a traitor, because I'm like a clone of like the original. As I said, from their perspective, there is no really original. I mean, every manifestation of this is a clone by definition. I mean, when they say that this is a clone, they don't mean what other people like abroad think that they mean. Like, other people think that, I mean, there was like, a reincarnation of Jesus Christ that is maybe like dead or, I don't know, kidnapped, and someone is impersonating him. And that's what they mean by when they say that he's a clone. And the Israelis mean completely different thing. What the Israelis mean is that, yes, there was incarnation of Jesus. They agree on that, because otherwise, what sick game do they play for so many years? But according to their idea or understanding, there is no positive like way in the world to identify him. He has no attribute, like no quality, no attribute, no tangible, I mean, property that you can capture to say that this is him. So every person that claims that is him is by definition a clone, and should be punished as such. And more so, he should be even more punished if he speaks about intelligence things, because it means that he belongs to the intelligence community, because you cannot know anything about the intelligence community of Israel if you are not part of it. Presumably because they are that smart, and I mean, you cannot learn anything, I mean, because they are super secretive. I mean, even though, I mean, they are 99% are kind of like, you know, pedophile goons that were kicked out of school, I mean, on the 8th grade, but for some reason they are incredibly smart and secretive, even though they are not secretive at all, and they do not care at all, and they, more than everything, they are not loyal. I mean, for Bitron Sadeh, they say, like, I mean, to be able to keep like secrets, The first thing is loyalty. I mean, the first thing, I mean, ביטחון שדה or ביטחון מידע, like in modern, like Hebrew terminology, I mean, keeping like your secrets, like, I mean, within the organization is above all, I mean, predicated on loyalty. I mean, before technology, before, I mean, instructions, before organization, like sound organization practices, it's predicated on loyalty, and they are not loyal at all. They are loyal to the money, only to money. How can they be secretive that way? It's impossible. You cannot have a secret organization if people are not loyal. And again, I mean, by loyal, I don't mean that, I mean, they will not go, like, you know, to the Iranians to say, do you want us to sell you secrets? Loyalty is, I mean, is measured in everyday, you know, like, I mean, behavior, like how much of your soul is dedicated to the benefit of the organization and not to yourself. This is loyalty. And the answer in the Israeli perspective is absolutely zero. And the word that you see right now is a direct implication of that. Direct implication of that. And I mean, if you don't see it, I mean, you're just blind. Because this was documented in the channel online before the events and during the events. These people are not loyal. They always place their personal benefit above the benefit of the organization. And this is the critical factor that led to the current war, and more so to the catastrophe that will, I mean, that is historical, I mean, from the Israeli perspective. Because they are not loyal. Because these people in this intelligence cell are not loyal, and no other intelligence people are loyal. They are not loyal. That is the reason for the war. They think about their money in their pocket, not about the country. You might argue that it's everywhere like that, and you are probably correct. It's much more common than I thought in the past, but nowhere in earth it's like in Israel. Nowhere in earth they are more addicted to money than in Israel. Yes, anti-Semitic, yes, this is reality. This is reality. This is reality. And this is the critical factor why this war started and how it started. Because the people that this is their job to prevent exactly these kind of scenarios think about their pocket 100% of the time, not 99% of the time. 100% of the time. Not 99% of the time, 100% of the time. So of course, in such condition, how can you even expect to have like ביטחון מידע? Like, I don't know what, I mean, you know, the proper translation, but I mean, like to keep your secrets in their organization. How can you do it? There is no secrets. There is no secret organization without loyalty. Again, loyalty as is demonstrated in everyday life, not in kind of like, I mean, huge, you know, kind of like, I mean, deal breaker movement. No, in how you conduct yourself. How much do you think about the organization in your everyday life? And if the answer is absolutely zero, how can you even have ביטחון מידע? But I mean, according to them, it's impossible to understand anything at all regarding the Shabak or the Mossad without being part of it. Absolutely impossible. Even if not only that you show how it's possible, you explain you document yourself in every step of the way in full transparency. But I mean, it's still impossible. So I mean, if I look at that, by definition, I'm a clone. And if I speak about intelligence matters, I'm not just a clone, but a clone of the Israeli intelligence, which means that if I speak about intelligence thing in the internet, it means that I'm a traitor, so they can torture me and kill me. This is what they mean when they say that I'm a clone. It's completely different from what people outside of Israel think they mean. It's just a mismatch on communication. They always, I mean, ask the question, is that a clone or not? Is that a clone? And they don't even mean the same thing. They do not mean the thing. From their perspective, a clone is something that looks like this generally and says that he's, like, I mean, the original. There is no way to identify the original from the Israeli perspective, no matter what happens. No miracle that will be conducted in this room, and there were already so many, countless, will convince them, because by definition, there is no way to identify the original. And the only way why they even agree that there was an original, because you might ask, so why do they agree that there was an original like in Israel not a while ago? Why? I mean, and they should agree on it, because otherwise this is like a ridiculous board game. What game do you play? And of course the answer is money, because they receive ton of money from abroad because of this, I mean, this kind of like, widely accepted, theory that actually existed in Israel not a while ago. This is a source of a ton of money for them, so they have to agree on that. but there is no way to identify him. And everybody that looks like that is a clone. This is what they mean. So let's get back to our business. At some future time, I will speak I'll do methodology retrospective review of sort of stuff that were prominent in the blog in the first couple of months, because some of it was just it's just defunct and falsified theories, but some of it were superseded by other practices that do not entirely negate the intrinsic value that existed in these theories, and maybe you should think about it. And some of it regarding to the usage of varied magnetic fields in the kind of as a preliminary stage in the mixtures of the neurons, creating an enriched neural mixture. So this kind of ancient aquarium, the big one, is the remnant of this time, and it's especially in other ways. But it's kind of a fossil aquarium, because it's kind of I kind of stopped dealing with these, not only with the material that I do not use for many months, but also with the methodology that helped the creation of the material. Anyway, I didn't throw it, so before I throw it tomorrow, before I go to court, so it will not be a pretext for my arrest. It's a good idea to actually watch what happened inside of it in the last couple of months. Maybe all the neurons were dead, I don't know. We have seen neurons inside of it, of course, quite a bit, and we've seen the development of very interesting life forms, but it was for quite some time, and should be checked. I should say that it's kept closed, but I'm not sure it's completely airtight. It might some oxygen. By the smell, no, it's pretty airtight because it smells like shit. And the very smelly ones, if it's not completely airtight, it's mostly not that smelly. Okay. So the second will be the famous saltwater aquarium. I speak about it quite a lot, and also in the last couple of days. It's very interesting because it's based on saltwater, but I used a lot of it for experiments and diluted it with peace. So it's actually the saltwater, part is now probably much smaller than before. And yeah, I always talk about it. I don't want to repeat myself. It's very promising. Very promising. As I said, it's relatively new. Idea for a new kind of setup for aquariums. It contains quite a bit of oil because they require oil in order to survive well. But mixed with the salt water and other stuff, and it's very promising. But let's see what we've seen today. It was diluted a lot, but maybe we'll see nice stuff. And okay, so the third sample is actually. So this is. Just by the look, it looks interesting. It looks like it developed a ton of life forms within it, which is interesting because it's kept sealed, and it's not typical. So it's nice. Something I have a sense I smell. Metaphorically smell that something interesting was developed in this one. It's relatively new. It's from about a month ago, and it's based on water from the metal aquarium, just the one that we've reviewed a couple of days ago, and so. It was documented here, but what I've done is that I've taken a half jar of or something like that from I feel like a jar to half from the metal aquarium, and I've added all sorts of stuff. Most importantly is baking soda, and quite a bit of baking soda. The idea, and also salt, I think, yes, salt and baking soda mostly. The idea was to provide oxygen. It's a long shot, but maybe they can actually, they can actually break the molecules of the baking soda and take the oxygen out of it, as kind of a replacement for oxygen supply because it's kept sealed. And salt. There are all sorts of things that salt. Its effect on activity and other things. Just by the look, it actually looks interesting. Something developed there in there. It wasn't like it when I prepared it. It's very thick and full of life forms. But let's just take a look. And the last one is what I call the alien aquarium. Maybe you remember it. I created it several months ago, and it's kept like in the original form. Like I didn't touch it since like, or maybe just one replenished like after like a little, not long after it was created, like maybe 3 months ago or 4 months ago. I added some stuff, but I mean, out of that, I did not touch it at all, and I do not really review it much. Even though when I do review it, I see nice, interesting things. So I mean, but I mean, it's called Alien Aquarium for several reasons. I mean, mostly I would say, I mean, you can argue that everything is alien. Mostly because, I mean, this jar, I mean, was kind of like, it reminded me of the O'Neill cylinder or also like a mega structure in space. I mean, after that, I received the other one that is also, I mean, similar, like this one, but I mean, so this one, just because of like, I mean, the jar is like, I mean, is the, you know, hexagon. So I thought about like I mean, space habitat. But also, I mean, it's different from other containers that it's very, very thick. It's mostly made of linseed oil and beeswax and some other oils, and it's like you can see like industrial like I mean, it's the closest thing to grease. I mean, I don't have grease, of course, in this house arrest, but I mean, it will be very interesting to see how De Niro was actually maintained and even multiplied inside grease, because there are motors. I mean, so you know, there are gears. So I mean, only makes sense to try grease, but I don't have grease. But this is, I mean, the closest thing to grease of all the containers. You see, it's very, very thick, and it's kept sealed. This is the one, like from the microscopy slide. This is obviously to see it. I mean, this, you know, it's the green and thick, and it's kept sealed. And I mean, let's just watch it under the microscope and see what we've got. Should be interesting. Hopefully, I mean, there were. I mean, initially, I've had a few microscopic reviews of this aquarium along the months, and usually, I mean, I didn't like find any kind of like, I mean. Alarming. I mean, we've seen like a gradual development of the Neros, which is fine. But let's see. I mean, but it was quite sometimes since I sampled it, so it's interesting to see what's going on. Again, very thick and like very, very oily. I mean, it's almost like grease. I mean, and it's like very interesting to see what's inside of it. Surely, any kind of like life form that is developed in it, I mean, is something that, I mean, you know, not just alien, but I mean, you know, alien is not like binary thing 0 or 1. It's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like a scale, and I will speak about it maybe in the, you know, the next the planned video regarding the dictionary of fantastic life forms. It's kind of like a scale. So I mean, in the scale of alien, this is like more in the more aliens, like, you know, it belongs to the more alien like part of the scale of the how alien it is, because I mean, these life forms were, I mean, that we will see that were created like in no oxygen at all, and like, I mean, there is not only no oxygen supply, but there was not much oxygen like to begin with. I mean, because I mean, there is no H2O over there, and even no P. Like generally, like every mixture contains quite a bit of my P, which contains H2O, so hence oxygen. But not this one. This one would contain no P at all, or maybe just, I mean, remnants. It mostly contain oils, or stuff like oils. So I mean, and it's kept sealed. So I mean, any life form that we will see will be like, I mean, very alien in the alien scale. So it's gonna be interesting. So just I will wash my hands, and I placed everything like in the cabinet again and prepare the microscope, and we will start in a couple of minutes.